My name is Fred Kulik. I am one of the EstimateRocket customer success coaches. And what I'm going to be speaking with you about for the next 45 minutes is, look at my handy dandy schedule here. I'm going to be talking to you about EstimateRocket. So we had Milchi talked at the beginning about, in his panel discussion. His panel discussion was a great discussion, showed you some uses of EstimateRocket. What I'm going to be talking about with you for the next 45 minutes is I'm going to be talking with you for, somebody says my camera's off. Hopefully my camera's on. Okay, good. I'm going to be talking with you for the next 45 minutes about some of the EstimateRocket features. How I'm going to break this down is I'm going to break this down into a number of different sections, so to speak. One is going to be on new features. New features is dedicated to features that have been in the software for, let's say, 6 months or so, that are maybe new things that people haven't discovered. Even when we had that early session and we've talked about other things, people talked about, oh, I only think I use 20% of the software. Well, this is to kind of bring up your attention onto some of the other features of the software that you can take advantage of. We're also going to talk about some best practices. Some best practices might be in the area of, invoicing and payments and things like that. I'm also going to talk to you about some hacks, which, a hack, you might think that's an ugly word. The hack is going to be, some of the tricks that you can do in EstimateRocket that you might not realize. Okay, and then probably what most of you are waiting for is I'm also going to have a preview of some coming attractions. So these are some of the newer features that are going to be coming in EstimateRocket. Now I'm going to be doing things. I'm not going to be doing things through a slideshow. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing basically an instance of EstimateRocket, and I'm going to be going through various aspects of the software. What I'd like to have you understand is that question panel is going to help because chances are if you have the question, there's going to be others that have a similar question too. Now you're going to make sure that your questions are not things that are going to give away any company specifics for you. If you do have something that you want to talk about later, we can talk in a support session, a one-on-one training, to talk about some of those specific ones with regard to your company if you don't want to give away any secrets. Okay, so here's what we're going to do: is I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to unshare coffee time, and where I'm going to start is I'm going to start with some of the new features, and the new features being things that are in the software now that you might not know about because they're on the new side. We heard them talking in the early session about the hot tab on the dashboard. That is definitely one of the newer features. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead here into coffee time. I am going to get rid of that, and I'm going to go into my sales dash. I'm going to go into the dashboard of my EstimateRocket account. Now the hot tab here is what was discussed. That is confirming that answer from before. That's something this is a proposal that has not been signed, but has been viewed in the last 48 hours. Okay, so that's the definition of what's going to appear there. Now, with regard to the sales cycle, EstimateRocket has a lot of features, a lot of cool features that are going to help you to complete that sales cycle even more quickly. Some of those features are going to be sending notifications here up into the bell. Those are the basic notifications. And there's also here in the settings, employee notifications, you have the ability to configure SMS notes to come to you. Okay, those SMS notifications is going to be a notification under the bell that will then send you a text message in addition. So one of the things is the client accepts the proposal, the client views the proposal. This is a great one that you can use to say, hey, I want to get notified right away. It's going to help me to complete that sales cycle because you're going to know. And per what was mentioned before, it can't be like, big brother's watching or anything, but you just pick up the phone and you're like, hey, I was just thinking about you, wondering if you have any questions about that. And I'll show you how that works in a minute. It involves a client looking at a proposal, but I'm signed into EstimateRocket. So if I go look at a proposal, it doesn't log the fact that it was looked at. So I'm going to show you how that is going to work though as well. Okay, so these are some of the new features that we're talking about in EstimateRocket. And one of the biggest, there's a number of new features that we have released recently. One of the biggest new features is on the schedule page. The schedule page here, which you see is a very robust page, lots of things going on. The schedule page now has some additional filters. So if you go here under options, okay, you can choose some of these other options. Options such as to say, click on the work appointment. This is going to show you just your scheduled work orders. You can also choose from this drop-down list that you see only your estimated appointments. Okay, and these filters that you're seeing here, these filters are sticky. Okay, so if you come back into the calendar, you're going to see things the way that you left them. The only one that's not is the employee filter. And so if you set a certain number of employees to see, that's the only one that's not, but we have requests to make that be part of the stickiness package, if you will. Okay, so these other things, the other thing that you have here, you still have the show assigned as helper. This is one of the previous generation updates that happened, is that in EstimateRocket, you used to be able to only assign additional users to a project that were field level users. As you know, EstimateRocket has two levels of users. It has full user and a field user. The full user is somebody that has full access to the system like you're seeing here. And we're going to talk about the field user in a little bit. Okay, the field user really is just going to have access to what they've been scheduled for, punching, seeing the work orders. They can add notes and pictures to projects as well. But the field user has much more limited access. But the punching part is the most important part. The punching part being the part that, hey, you've budgeted a certain number of hours for the project, and now here's the usage of hours against that same project. Okay, so that's so these are the additional filters. I'm talking about the things here on the schedule page. You obviously have you still have your functions up here at the top left to view by day, week, month, or 6 weeks. The show assigned as helper, that can make a lot of other things start to show up as well. You can hide the weekends if you want. You can have your Sunday and Saturday go away completely to just see a little bit more spread out calendar. Okay, the employee filter. Now, this is one of the additional introductions. Is you can set a list of employees. So if I look at plus here, I can add an employee filter. If I click on, for example, the estimators only, that's going to let me. I'm going to click here on the edit button. The edit button is going to say, here's my filter name. Here are the members, the employee members of this particular filter. So if you wanted to, you could say, okay, enable this filter and show me just the estimators, okay? And it sets them up down here in the employee list, okay? So that's a way that you can use that. I have set up some examples here, supervisors only, field users only, things like that, so that you can see what people have on the schedule, okay? Super helpful feature. You can edit those, you can add them. There's no limit as to how many that you can have as many as you want, and what happens is they just appear here as you toggle them on or off. That's what it does, it toggles them on or off. Now, why would we have nobody here? Because supervisors typically don't have estimates. Supervisors typically have work appointments. So that's what's happening here is the filters can do you solid, but they can also make you say, wait a minute, I just had a lot of stuff there. What's going on? You still have the employee filters the way that you already did. I'm going to turn that employee filter off for the moment. One of the additional things that probably you may or may not know about is you can schedule things from within a project or a lead, or reschedule them from there, reschedule from the dashboard, reschedule from the projects page. Okay. You can also schedule things right here from the schedule. All right. How do you do that? Come down into here. You could say, show me the work orders, show me the estimates, or just one or the other. You could pick these up. You can drag them directly onto the schedule, drop them. Okay. Super easy to do. All right. Other things that you could do from here within the schedule, these aren't improvements, but just basic features, is if you want something to change, you just pick it up and drag it to a different day. All right. Super easy. And this is a great, one of the things that has come into the customer success team here, the coaches, is boy, what's happening is I see a lot of things happening here with regard to there being a lot of completed things left behind. Okay, there's a way that you can, the drag and drop method that I just showed you will not leave a completed record behind. Okay, super important thing to understand. I'm gonna toggle over here into my work appointments. I want to show you some different things here. If I click into here, like I'm going to reschedule this, let me drag and drop it. What happens is I see the phone number here, so I can see the phone number to make a phone call to do the things that I need to. I'm going to take another one of these. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and move it. And I see that this project itself actually has a number of estimated hours with it. So the estimated hours are going to give you the texture onto what kind of slot you need to find to put this back into. Now the estimated hours, this is about the hourly budgeting. I believe Brandon mentioned it as well. This is about being able to compensate your team. You have you have an estimated number of hours. You set the team loose. They punch against the projects, and you see that 2 guys got it done. They saved 20 hours out of the 90 or whatever. So you can give them a bonus based on that. But this is a great reference point here, the estimated hours. Okay, that's the budgeted hours on this particular project. All right, so other things that we're seeing here, so we were talking about the pending schedule down here at the bottom where you can filter to find, like if I wanted to find this McFly project, you can search for McFly. Actually, there's a lot of McFly projects, so I found more than one, but that gives you the ability to search on what you want to look for and then go ahead and schedule those. Okay, now something in addition to, I'm gonna reset these options now. One thing in addition to improvements in the schedule was the crew feature. Now the crew feature is a fairly new feature. You actually, if you are using EstimateRocket, you may not see the crew feature. Now I also want to mention something. As far as things go, you asking questions about some of these things is going to help. It might help the person next to you understand them. It's certainly going to help. So if you have questions, please put them in the question box, and I'll address those as I'm going. All right. So I don't want to be just talking at you for the next half hour. I want to get you some good some good information. Okay. So here we are. All right, so here we are in the, so we're looking at the schedule here still. I was going to talk about the crew feature. Now the crew feature, this is a great new feature as well. You're going to want to understand this is a newer feature. So as a set of employees may not have the permission yet to edit the crews. If I go here into settings and employees, I can look at any one of these employee records, full user, edit the user. So this is going to take you into the permissions and where it is, manage crews. Okay, so part of the crew feature being added, the manage crew feature permission was also added. So understanding that permission and enabling that for somebody to have access to things is going to be a key to your element. I mean, somebody just messaged in recently that, hey, I can't see the crews, and it was because their user had been added before the crew permission, and they didn't have that permission. So where do you manage the crews? Okay, now crews is going to affect the things that you're seeing on the calendar as well. So here from settings, and this is a lot like the employee filter, but it's essentially you setting up something that is a physical crew. All right, now these are all different crews that have been set up. I set one up here. You can add a crew by clicking the plus crew button. You can delete a crew if you don't want to have one by clicking the delete button. You have a quick view of the crew. Okay, you can also edit the crew. So let's take a look. I set up a crew of just supervisors. Okay, reason I did that, we can edit this. So I can see right now, this is a set of supervisors. These are all the supervisors that I have within EstimateRocket. And excuse the very creative naming convention of supervisor, supervisor 2, 3, and 4. Not a creative group. I do a lot of the testing, and I'm not creative because then I have to remember, wait a minute, what was the name of my supervisor? I forgot. So I just name them supervisors. All right, so it's all good. This is my supervisor crew. Now, so I've set up this crew, and what I've done is I have scheduled a project against the crew versus scheduling a project against a main employee, being Fred Q, and the 3 supervisors. And I want to show you what that looks like on the calendar to show you how much that can help your overall calendar view. All right. Now, what are the requirements of a crew? A crew has to have 1 supervisor and 1 crew member. All right. If your EstimateRocket account has 1 employee, crews aren't going to work. All right. So that's what, but this is all to simplify what you're seeing on the calendar. So let's go ahead in. I'm going to go back into the schedule screen, and I'm going to go ahead in the way ahead machine. I'm going to go into February and March. Okay. So these are 2 projects. The first one, Fred Flintstone. So again, creative naming. I just aged myself a little bit. I'm going to show you what this looks like with the show helpers turned on. So right now, this looks pretty simple, right? This first one is Fred Flintstone. This is assigned to the crew supervisor, the supervisor crew that I just showed you, all right? This other project is assigned to Fred Q, that's me in the system, and the other 3 supervisors. So let me just show you the simplicity of what that's going to do. So I'm going to go here into options, and I'm going to turn on the show assigned as helper. It's probably going to take me back to January, which is pain in the neck. But let's go back here. So the simplicity of what you're seeing in the schedule page, that's the one, that's the crew that's got 4 people in it, and that's 4 events. Imagine that multiplied by the number of employees that you had, the number of jobs that you had. The schedule is going to get to be gigantic. The crew feature is going to help you keep the schedule clean, keep it looking good, so that you don't have as much. And everything that's assigned to the crew, if a crew member logs into his EstimateRocket account, he's going to see he or she's going to see that assignment in there when they log in, just the way the single users do. Okay, so that's the crew feature. That's how the crew feature can help you simplify the view of what you're seeing in the actual schedule page. Okay, especially when you have a lot of helpers assigned. All right, the next thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to jump around a little bit, is I'm going to talk about seasonal item templates. All right, seasonal. A question came in: is there a plan to create an app for time tracking for the employees to punch in? Right now, the way that the employees the way that the employees would do that is set a shortcut on their mobile device desktop, and then from that shortcut, as long as they log in every week, they get into EstimateRocket, they see their dashboard, they can punch. Okay, we don't currently have an app, but the app is the shortcut being created on the desktop is going to work in a way that's going to give them access to the project, the work order, and let them punch against the project. All right. The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is I'm going to talk to you about seasonal item templates. Now, item templates are, if you've ever created an item template, that lives here in the settings item template area. Now, the item templates, this can be a big, giant list. If this can be a big, giant list of templates, okay, you could see all of these. The seasonal item templates is something that allows you to hide things from the plus line item in your estimate area. Like, so let's just look at this painting exterior one, for example. I'm going to click on the edit button here, and I'm going to look. Okay, this box here that says show template in list, that is what will hide an item template in your estimate screen. Now, item templates, you know that those are the crux for being able to make things efficient for your estimators. It's also going to make things efficient for navigating around in the project. And look at all the things in here. Anyway, but so if I go into one of my projects right now, let's go into the dashboard, and I go into any one of these projects. Okay, what happens is I can add line items a number of different ways. One of them is from the universal plus button here. These are all my item templates. Look at how long that list is. So if you have something this long, it's just keeping you from being able to navigate efficiently in that project. Same thing when your estimator comes in here to add a line item. Plus a line item, this list, if this list is as long as your arm, it's going to be harder for them. make it be 5 or 6 or 7. If you're doing if you're a painter and you're doing you're hanging holiday lights in the off season, or you're a landscaper and you're doing plow in the off season, change them out. Change them out so that you see them, so that things are going to be easier for your estimators to do their job. Okay, and then plus one of the things, plus this plus line item here. The other thing, this is a feature that's been existing for a long time, but we get asked a lot about it in customer success. At the bottom of this list, you have copy line items to new project. So if you ever have projects that are similar or things got monkeyed up, you can go ahead in and you can see what's happening here is copy those right to a new project. All the line items will dump into a new project. You have a 15-room project, that's going to be a lot easier for you to do than to be, basically go and recreate those one at a time. Okay, and some of our clients are even doing things that are creative, in a sense that if they have a certain item template that they like the way that it's set up, they create a dummy project, and that dummy project they then use the copy line items to new project to fill in everything that they want, so that they just go in and update the dimensions of the area that they're going to be working in. Okay, so that's the seasonal item templates. Is the point that I made to get you to some other great points about, like, okay, here's some things and how they're going to make your life easier within the product. Now, another one of these is at the item level. This is about more pricing detail at the item level. So if I go into settings and into my item list, the settings item list is going to have all these type of things. And I'm going to go find paint walls. Nick is going to be on in a little bit here. If I go in and I choose paint walls here, I'm going to choose one of these. I'm going to choose one of the things. So the enhancements here are that we put not only the price here, but we put the cost out at this general level so that you can see that a lot more quickly. Before, you'd have to drill into each one to see what the cost was, and that was making your lives inefficient. So as you're editing items and doing things, or if you have similar items, one of them is priced a little bit higher, you could tell the difference here. If they're named similarly, you could tell the difference here based on the price and the cost. Okay, so but the additional point here about paint walls that I'm going to show you is if I go in and I edit this particular item. If we look at the edit item screen, before we did not have a unit price of the base items. Okay, the base items in this particular assembly are paint walls. In paint walls, we have some painting labor and we have some wall paint. Right? Easy. Right? Before, you couldn't see what the unit price was of the underlying item, so you were kind of like scratching your head. You kind of had to go through this random, just change some of these. Now, I've also been asked the question in customer success as a coaching option is which side of the equation should I change? Really doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. If you're doing something that is a square feet or linear feet per hour, pardon me, much more important, much easier to change things on the left side. That's going to be your square feet or your linear feet per hour. That's the thing that you understand. Okay. The other thing is the interior wall paint. How many square feet per gallon? So that, again, that's one of those things that's published on the side of the can. This is 2 coats. We took that 350, we divided it by 2. Boom, we came up with 175. Okay, so there we are. That's the basics of the assembly, but the assembly is going to give us the unit price of the paint and the labor to give you a little bit more of a helper with regard to editing those. All right. Now, back over to my list. Now, I am going to talk in a different section about converting into a production rate based estimating. But let's, I'm going to talk about that. I'll talk about that in a bit because I want to go through some other things. Now, with regard to, I'm going to parlay over into the field user things that have been improved as well. Now, within the realm of our settings employees, the field users, which let me find one of them. There's one of them. field user 2, again, our creative naming. If I go ahead in and edit field user 2, I'm not sure if any of you remember before this. Before, you used to have to set the field user color before you set the user as a field user. In other words, so you'd add a full user, pick the color, and then change it to a field user, and that color would be saved. Now we've added the addition of you to be able to basically change the color for the calendar on all of those field users. Okay, so you have the ability to do that on the fly. You could do that now, change it, make it be, whatever you want, however you want to blend the colors in for the calendar. If you have a good sized team, you can do that. All right, so that's one of the enhancements for the field user administratively. What I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to go, and forgive me if you see another screen fly in onto this one, please forgive me. I'm going to log in as a field user right now, and I don't want to log out of this. Okay, so I'm going to go onto another screen right now, and I'm going to get a field user, and I'm going to log in as the field user to show you, basically to show you what that looks like. So there's been a lot of improvements for the field user experience, essentially for the purpose of being able to, and being able to have them have a better, just to have a better overall experience, right? So here's what I am. I'm throwing a field user dashboard over onto this other screen. Obviously, a field user is not going to be using this in full screen mode. They're going to be on their mobile device, so I'll shrink it down here a little bit. So here's a field user on their mobile device. This field user has punched in, so they see how many hours they have been punched in for. The other things that they can see from the hamburger, they could see their dashboard, which is where we landed. They could see how many hours they worked on any given day. Okay. They can also, from the hamburger, see settings. The settings are going to be, again, the notifications, what we talked about before. So if something gets assigned to them, they want to be able to set the fact that they're going to get a text message when something gets assigned to them. Okay. The assignments can be projects. They can be subtasks within a project, which is what we call to-dos. Okay, so that's one of the things. Now let's go back into the dashboard here. The dashboard's the main page that the bulk of the improvements came on. Now, if you've looked at your current dashboard, you have these quick action buttons. The quick action buttons are going to allow you to do certain things. Add a photo, add a note, or in this case, view the project. You can also get the directions too. So it's easy enough. So if I click on the view project here, this is going to take me into a spot that I see the project detail. I'll be able to see the, click here to view the work order. That would open up the work order as a PDF, but I can also punch directly against this project. Click the punch button. It'll let me do that. I can add a picture here easily. I can also add notes to the project. So a great thing is if you have EstimateRocket with the two-way client communication feature, your field users can send you a note like at the end of their workday that said, I got this part and that part of the project done, and you can keep a daily log with your client based on what the field users send you. So you take that information from the field user, you parse that into a customer note for the two-way client communications, you send that to them, they know where you got at the end of the day, if you're behind schedule, if you're ahead of schedule, whatever it happens to be. Okay, so that's the field user experience. The field user experience has been improved in such a way to help the field user basically use EstimateRocket even easier than before. Okay, and from the dashboard, if I go back a screen here from the dashboard, I have my current events that I can see. I can see the upcoming things. I can also go into the late tab to see the late things. Hopefully the late things are closed out, because if a field user has late things pending, they're probably not doing a good job. That's why I don't want to show you my late tab, because this is a test account and everything looks bad. Anyway, so that's that. That's the field user, the new dashboard. So that's what the field user. Yeah. So okay. So that's the field user experience. So improved for the field users, make it easier for them, let them get in there, get some pictures, add some notes to help you communicate with your clients. Super great thing to have in place. All right. Now, I'm going through my list of things that I want to talk about here. The budgeted hours for the pop-up. I talked about that before when I was on the schedule page. Okay, now many of you may or may not know about this, is we have an AI assist feature at the email template level. Okay, now the email templates are going to be, if we click here into settings and we go into email templates, okay, we can add in as many templates as you want. You can also come into these email templates and you have an email assistant. Okay, what this AI email assistant does, and let me expand it for you, is you have your selections within the document type. So if you're creating different email templates for different purposes, you could certainly outline those here. You choose one of those. You could put in what are the services being offered, painting, concrete lifting, whatever it happens to be. The client, it's going to use the client first name as a default. Who is a potential customer? Oh, it's going to require a field. Fine, I'll put that in so it doesn't keep flashing red. All right. Who is a potential customer or existing customer? I'm not sure if you're going to be more friendly to a potential, but you get the idea. You can put that you could put that in as an input. Word limit 100, 200, 300. Style, tone. You have all of these choices, and then you can put any additional items in that you want. And then all you do is you put your choices in there. You put your choices in, proposal, thank you, and you click generate. And it's going to generate you an AI email. Now, AI is AI. Do you trust AI? I don't know. I saw a driverless car crash. I don't know if I would trust AI. So we always want you to look through there, and that's why the warning here. AI can make mistakes. Please check. But the beauty part is, if you don't like this one, click on the generate again. You get a different one. Right? It's just awesome, right? And usually you're going to want to, and so that just gives you such an easy way to create some emails, and you can have a nice, like if you're doing follow-ups, per what Brandon was talking about with the follow-ups on people, and you have a way to do that in such a way that you put in what you want your criteria to be. You let the bot do the work for you, and then polish it up a little bit so that it sounds personal and it's going to be from you. All right, so that's a great feature. Well, probably not a well explored feature, but this is going to be one. This is going to be one that you can really take advantage of. All right, now I'm keeping an eye on my time here. I am going to plan to talk for a little bit more. So if there's new questions, as those new questions come in, it's all good. It's all good. All right. So the next thing that I have is, the default views. Okay, so the default views, you know about those as a new feature. So here I am, I'm logged into EstimateRocket, and you have a way to set the default views on 5 pages. Okay, I just put that hand right up in front of my face. That many, right? 5 pages, all right? How can you do that? Now, this view, I'm gonna drop into one of these estimates, okay? This is an estimate that is defaulting into what we call tabs view. Tabs view makes it so that you have these, however many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have these 8 tabs here, and you don't have to scroll all the way to Kingdom Come. I refer to this as the Route 95 scroll, all the way from Maine down to Florida. All right. If you have this in list mode, okay, you're looking through the contacts, the profitability, the line items. You're scrolling and scrolling, and hopefully nobody's getting seasick. Kathy, don't be watching this because you're going to get seasick. You're scrolling. So I don't know how people still use this, but they do. Maybe they like that whole scrolling action on their phone or whatever. So tabs view, to me, is the way to go. Tabs view gives you, especially when it comes to deeper things in the project. Like, for example, going and checking and editing an invoice or editing a payment, that's going to be that's just a great way for reviewing a full project. Okay, it's just so much quicker, especially for the stuff that's at the bottom of the list, like the bookkeeping stuff. That's at the bottom of the list. Invoices, payments, those are way at the bottom. They're those are the ones in Florida on your Maine to Florida scroll. Okay, so make it be easy for yourself, especially and you can toggle this back and forth easy enough between tabs and list. But how do you set those as the defaults? Okay, so if I click here on my user profile and I click Edit User. That's going to bring me into the user. Now I can edit my own permissions because I'm like an admin and I have the right to do that, but these are my default views. Default tab view on the individual project page is what I'm talking about. If you have that turned on, yes, you're going to see what we just saw. The tabs across the top. If you have list view, it's the whole big long thing. That's the original. The original was list view, and people were like, "Oh, it takes so off. It's awful. It refreshes." Blah, 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 right? So put it into tabs view. It's going to be much easier. Okay, and I'm going to show you these other different ones too. So let's go out to the dashboard. Now the dashboard, my default view on the dashboard is tabs view. I like what this looks like. And because I have a good amount of information here, I can see what's late and stuff. But you also have table view. So let's say that you were on mobile device and you want it to be thin so you could see them as much as possible. What happens though is you lose those different tabs. So here you have to click on this little down arrow to see your tabs, to see that there's other things that need to happen, right? My preference here is tabs view, but you can do it whichever way you like, okay? The other thing is the quick action buttons here on tabs view are very visible. If you're in table view, you get to those quick action buttons here under this elliptical. Okay, I like the fact that the quick action buttons are a little bit more visible, but again, I do a lot of my work from a computer, so this might be much easier for you on mobile, having it in table view. Depends on what your preferences are. All right. Now understand that the setting the default view is setting that view for you and you alone. Okay. Now you can do it if you go into employees and the employee settings and edit each employee. You can set the default views for them. However, this one up here that I just did in edit user, that's updating one person only, and that's me. Okay. So that's going to let your team look at things the way that they want to as well. Great way for reviewing a full project. All right, so again, we just talked about two of them. I'm not gonna abandon you here. So the other thing here is I'm gonna go back into, I'll come back. Projects view has a similar pairing. It has card view, which is the one that I like. Again, the quick action buttons here, a little bit more information there. And it also has table view. Come on, table view. Okay, so table view gives you some additional features in the fact that you can sort by first name. You can do some sorting by company name, things like that. All right. You sort by the status. We abbreviated, so ES is estimate. You might have WO is, guess what, work order, right? So you have the ability to do some sorting here, what the project totals are, and what the dates are. And I have some stuff from 2016 on this dashboard. Anyway, but the better way in here, understanding how the projects page works, is that the all tab, whether you're either view, if we go back here in a card view, the all tab is going to show you the least contemporary at the top. The late tab shows you the most contemporary at the top, and then you have today and future. Okay, so those are your views there, but I wanted to focus this one on the default views. Now, where else do we have a default view? We have another default view here on the clients page. The clients page, you also have table or card view. Again, similar type sorting opportunities, but this is your difference, and these are the views that you're setting. So toggle between the two different views. Then on those views, go ahead and change what you like as the defaults. Here, what happens is we have, these are the different, this is one of the newer features, as well as you have the ability to set the client stage. The client stage being new, cold, warm, hot, customer. You could set those when you're adding a client into EstimateRocket. Okay, that's a newer one that I didn't even have on my list, so I'm glad I looked at this page. All right, now I want to show you one other thing. I want to show you one other thing now. So with regard to EstimateRocket, you know that EstimateRocket can take electronic payments, okay? Electronic payments are from settings, and in payment processing, this is where you enable your payment processing, okay? So you might be saying, Fred, how the heck are you going to show me anything with payment processing disabled? Okay, this is one of those times that I'm going to go swoop over to get a different account information, bring it up, bring it in front of you to show you. Anyway, so what you would do is go through this connect with Stripe. You go through Stripe, you create an account in Stripe, and then you can accept, by default, you accept credit cards. But we also have an ACH acceptance option, and I want to show you how that works. So just bear with me for a moment here. I'm going over to a different page right now. And I am going to drag this one onto the current page to show you. Okay, this is on a different account. This is on an account that I do have the payments turned on, and I want to show you, this is the customer portal. This is what the client is going to see as far as their invoice goes. Okay, so this is an open invoice here. This is the portal. This is the amount due. Amount paid is 0. So if I view this as the client, okay, so this is a place that I have credit cards and ACH payments turned on. Okay, the payment form that the client is going to see is they click on that, they can pay with their card, put their card number in, all the card details, pay now. Easy, right? But some people say that, oh, you know what, the percentage, I want my percentage to be less that I have to pay to the card company. So that is the U.S. bank account. U.S. bank account is a way that they put in their email address, they put in, their institution information. And when in production, this is a test environment, so it's got a lot of stuff here that looks nonsensical. But in a production environment, this is going to have Bank of America and U.S. Bank and this. And this is all United States bank transfers. There's no Canadian option in this area quite yet. We are working forward towards that. But the person's going to put in their bank information and then choose their bank. That's all going to propagate where they put in an account number, things like that. Pay now is going to bring them through a process that they enter certain information. Now, if you have electronic payments turned on with EstimateRocket, you may say, well, damn, how come my people can only see credit cards? And another thing is what I'm going to do, I'm going to swoop. I'm swooping over to get you another page here. So sorry if it seems like it's getting too crazy with Fred swooping stuff in and out. But this is what your Stripe dashboard might look like. In your Stripe dashboard, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can actually see it. And this is a test account, so don't pay any attention to the fact that it's restricted or anything like that. But from your Stripe dashboard, you should see the payment methods over here on the left. You click on payment methods, and then you shoot down into this list of payment methods. And come on, payment methods, keep scrolling. And you turn on the ACH direct deposit. Okay? Come over into here. It might say inherited. That's what it's going to say by default. But you click into the inherited and you turn that on. And then your customers are going to see credit cards, and they're going to see also U.S. bank transfer. Okay, so that's the U.S. bank transfer part of this. So that is that's the way that you can turn that on within EstimateRocket. All right. So let me get back here. Dashboard. I want to see what I got for time. I'm at 2:46. Let me just look at my schedule. Oh, that is the extent of my time. We have a break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop there. I have a ton more to talk about, but guess what? You get me in another hour or two, and then you're going to get me a bunch tomorrow too. So don't worry that I'm not going to show you what some of the upcoming features are. I've gotten partway through the new features, some of the newer features. I'll finish that up. And then I'll get to the best practices, tips, and tricks, and also the hacks. So that's it for me. I'm going to pass back.